room, a girl running toward him trips over and almost falls, but Arata helps her up. Arata is about to get familiar with her when he realizes something important. Arata quickly ends whatever conversation of love life that might want to start developing, and he runs toward the entrance. After helping the girl, it dawns on him that she is the guildmaster of the Navy Guild, and Arata cannot afford to let her question him. Rei, on the other hand, wonders why the dude is running away from her. She shrugs this off and heads to the conference room where Aoi is waiting for her. Rei gladly welcomes her back, but Aoi cuts the whole familiarity and lets her know that there is something she needs to tell her. She immediately pours out her frustration about what Takatora is doing behind their backs. Rei is forced to tell her to calm down as she continues venting. Aoi then calms down to explain the situation to Rei. Aoi then tells Rei that Takatora has been using fissures to his advantage. Rei is surprised to hear this, and she decides that she will have to deal with him by herself. However, she is still worried about Arata, whom she ran into earlier. The next day, Arata considers himself lucky to have gotten away from Rei, while praying that she doesn't suspect him. He is walking through an alley when he sees some slayers struggling against a magic beast while trying to protect a kid beside him. The magic beast is a two-headed monster with firepower, but Arata doesn't hesitate as he dashes toward the magic beast. Arata reaches the monster, and with a powerful punch imbued with his shadow power, he breaks the beast's fire attack. The slayer, who was protecting the kid, is shocked to see such a powerful fellow, leaving him to wonder if he is a slayer. Arata doesn't waste the opportunity to ore a farm, and he whips out his long shadow sword. The slayer is shocked to see this since he hasn't seen that type of power before. Arata is now face to face with the beast while protecting the kids. The beast runs at Arata, but he maintains a perfect thrusting position, and with just a strike, he cuts down the terrifying beast. Unknown to him, he is being watched by a slayer who has somewhat taken an interest in Arata. At Japan's headquarters of the Slayers Association, the 5 kings are present for a meeting. From the Seiwa Guild is Jinosuke Doju, Ryokuji from Leon Flame Guild, Rei Isaki from Navy Guild, Takuto Nagihara from Jade Sky Guild, and Shion Inamori from Kaizen Guild. Doju addresses them and points out the first thing on their agenda, which is the unusual number of fissures that have been appearing everywhere. Ryo agrees with him, saying a bronze rank went out of control recently, which ended up releasing a bunch of magic beasts. Rei adds that there are also cases where bosses show up in the fissures, and they are stronger than the rank that they have assigned to them. Ryo doesn't really care if they are abnormal, as he sees it as a normal training regimen for the Slayers. Takuto smiles when he hears Ryo's perspective on the matter, saying Ryo is way more careless about it. This gets on Ryo's nerves, and he angrily stands up to berate Takuto. Ryo claims that his guild has done more than Takuto's guild, but Takuto remains calm while ignoring Ryo until he returns to his seat. Since the incident has only been happening recently, Rei wonders what the problem might be. Doju says there might be something changing on the side of the magic beasts, which is causing the unusual spikes in fissure emergence. However, he lets his comrades know that whatever the change is, it is going to lead them to the truth. He tells them to report any minor change to him, and they all acknowledge the order. After this, Doju moves to the subject of the irregular slayer, who has been going from one fissure to another without registering as a proper slayer. Doju says no one knows his reason for doing this, but he suspects that the change is not happening only to magic beasts, but to slayers also. Rei then tells her comrades that someone like the described slayer showed up at her guild, and Aoi mentioned that his skill was totally different from what she knew. But before Rei could get to talk to him, he disappeared. Meanwhile, Takuto is the dude who was watching Slayer from a rooftop, but he decides not to share anything with his comrades. Rei then tells her colleagues that the unidentified Slayer might believe that his skill is unique and different, which is why he doesn't belong in any guild. When Rei comes up with this observation, Takuto cuts in, saying that there is a possibility that Arata is a magic beast. Ryo immediately shuts him up, telling him to stop saying trash while defending Arata. Rei is shocked to see that Ryo has met him, and Ryo doesn't hide it anymore. He tells them that the kid is pretty strong, but there is no way he is a magic beast. Takuto then laughs when he hears this, and he reveals that he was just messing around. Doju then tells his comrades that the order to capture Arata is optional, since they don't have the proof to issue a warrant for his arrest yet. Shion finally speaks, and she tells her comrades that since Arata is not ready to come in, they have no reason to obsess over him. After giving her first opinion in the meeting, Shion stands up to leave just like the baddie that she is. She claims that she has a tea meeting that she needs to attend. She gets to the door and notices the camera sitting at the top. She has no idea what it is, but unknown to her and to the rest of the team, Takatora is the one watching them using the camera that he has carefully placed in the room. From what Takatora has seen, he realizes that Arata is a concern to the 5 kings, and he thinks of capturing him so his influence within the association can increase. In addition to this, there will be no more chaos, and he would have killed 2 birds with just 1 stone. He figures out that he needs information if he is going to capture the irregular. With the information he has, He believes that Arata has acquired the unique skill of light, while his brother has undergone a magic beast transformation. With these two factors in place, Takatora figures out where Arata will appear next. He gets up from his seat and decides that he needs to take care of Arata before it is too late. Later on, Arata finds people running away from a magic fissure, but he runs toward it instead. Just as he is about to reach the fissure, he is intercepted by Takatora, who is fully dressed in Slayer's armor while wearing an annoying smile. Takatora mocks Arata for his determination to hang on to life, but he lets him know that he is there to grab him and take him back to the association. He urges Arata to follow him quietly, but Arata screams at him not to get in his way. Takatora makes fun of Arata about his brother turning into a magic beast and running around. Takatora laughs in Arata's face while telling him that he is going to kill his brother. Rage takes over Arata, and he fires off his burst cannon at Takatora. Takatora doesn't look scared as the attack comes flying at him, and he easily consumes Arata's attack with just a single shot. Arata is shocked, but he refuses to back down as he whips out his shadow blade. He dashes toward Takatora, but he is just too slow for Takatora. Takatora unleashes a long-range attack to try to consume Arata. Arata is forced to use his sword to block the attack, but he fails to stand up to the full power of the attack, and he is thrown to the ground in pain. Takatora doesn't waste time making fun of Arata, telling him that his power is only unique because it's never been heard of before, but it is pretty weak. Arata manages to crawl back up while wondering what might be wrong since he is supposed to have leveled up his burst cannon and blazing shadow blade. He starts wondering if he cannot win against a Golden Slayer no matter what he does. Even in the face of defeat, Arata still manages to get on his feet. Takatora is surprised to see that the kid still has some strength left in him. Arata then unleashes a skill called Soot Darkness, and this creates a black smoke. Takatora doesn't move from where he is as he believes that Arata is creating nothing more than a smokescreen. He wonders what Arata is trying to do, but suddenly, a shadow attack comes flying at his neck. He barely manages to block it with his powers, and he angrily cuts away further strange attacks that might be coming for him. When the smoke clears a bit, he sees Arata charging toward him. Arata almost cuts him down, but Takatora easily blocks the hit. Arata lets him know that he has reached the end of the line, but Takatora argues with him, telling him that he will continue growing until he becomes one of the 5 kings. In addition to this, he wants to seize the Navy Guild while gaining total control of the association. Arata argues with him, telling him that he is not going to stand around and let it happen since he is not someone who is fit to be one of the 5 kings. Takatora knocks Arata backwards while telling him to stay in his place, which is among the low lives. Takatora whips out his ice blade, telling Arata his plan to sacrifice him with it. He makes fun of Arata, telling him that his sword is no match for his. But Arata painfully replies that the orb Takatora is using originally belonged to him. Arata says his big brother would still be human if Takatora hadn't stolen the orb. Arata angrily unleashes a dark aura from his body when he remembers that Takatora is to blame for everything that has happened so far. Arata angrily dashes at Takatora, and he tries to slash him, but he blocks it. Takatora notices that Arata has gotten a bit more powerful than before, but even with this, he thinks he is no match for him. Takatora pushes Arata backwards while urging him to come quietly. Takatora shows how deadly he can be when he unleashes a powerful skill, the Ice Emperor's prison. The entire area freezes up, and Arata finds himself trapped in ice. Arata's movement is restricted, and Takatora unleashes powerful icicles to finish him off. With no way to dodge the attack, Arata is knocked out cold. Takatora still makes fun of him for falling unconscious from an attack that is not even his best. He points his sword at Arata, ready to finish him off so he can tell the association whatever lie he wants. Just as he is about to kill him, he gets hit with an ice attack that stops him. This shocks him, and when he turns around, he sees Rei and Aoi staring at him disgustingly. Rei mentions how Takatora has been causing trouble, and she asks him why he is fighting in public during the day. Takatora is shocked to see the guildmaster, and she reveals that she has been watching him. Rei now sees that Takatora tends to do whatever he likes whenever she is not there. Takatora tries to justify what he did by saying Arata is an irregular, but Rei lets him know that this doesn't give him the right to beat him up. Aoi moves over to Arata to help him, and in his weak state, Arata sees Rei, and he recognizes her from the guild. Aoi uses her skill on Arata, and she heals him. Arata finally opens his eyes to see Aoi beside him, leaving him surprised. He tries moving, but Aoi urges him not to because his wounds will only reopen. Arata shows his hatred for Takatora by screaming out that he will never forgive him, but after saying this, he passes out. Takatora then tells the girls that they will be going against the association if they plan to heal Arata and take him under their wings. Rei then tells Takatora that the association has not filed an arrest order yet. Since this is the case, she plans to request the go-ahead to put him under Navy Guild surveillance. Takatora wants to argue, but Rei urges him not to, telling him that she and Aoi will be in charge of taking care of Arata. Takatora then reminds Rei that he is also a Golden Slayer like her. Rei asks him what he means by this, and Takatora suggests that they expand the guild while working together. He plans to support the guild with his Goto Corporation. Rei lets the dude know where she stands by telling him not to come any closer to her. Takatora is forced to back off, but he tells Rei that she will come running back when she sees just how cool he is. Rei is disgusted by Takatora's presence, and she tells Aoi to take Arata to the infirmary, and she promises to be there soon. Momentarily, Arata wakes up in the Navy Guild infirmary. He tries getting off the bed, but Aoi is there to stop him, telling him that she has lots of questions for him. Just then, Aoi says she has a bad feeling because Rei has not shown up yet. She leaves the room while telling Arata to stay on the bed and not dare run off again. Aoi rushes down the hallway, and she soon finds Rei, who claims that she got lost while trying to locate the infirmary. She grabs her by the hand while scolding her for missing her way. Aoi cannot believe that even with how strong Rei is, she is totally hopeless when it comes to directions. The two then return to the infirmary, and the moment they enter, Aoi asks Arata why he ran away from the guild the last time, and why he was also fighting Takatora. Arata stutters as he tries to answer, and Rei lets him know that he can be protected if he registers under the guild. In addition to this, he is going to get other benefits, but she wonders why he isn't registering. Arata still refuses to say anything, and Rei lets him know that no matter what, he will be placed under surveillance, but they are not going to try to control his life. After saying all of these, Rei asks him if he's ready to talk. Arata opens his mouth to talk, but he keeps quiet again. He realizes that he might end up putting his brother in danger if he says anything. Realizing that he is not ready to talk, Rei decides to back down, and she tells the two that it is time for them to head out. Arata is confused, but Aoi celebrates at the sound of this. Later that night, Arata finds himself visiting a restaurant with the girls. He is surprised that he was able to easily get out of the mess from earlier. Aoi tells him that he has been fighting for a couple of days, and even though it is good to be a workaholic, she lets him know that it is good for him to take breaks. The sound of this is appealing to Arata, who realizes that he hasn't had a proper meal in ages. Sitting in front of him are nice dishes and meat that he can easily munch on. He decides that he is just going to rest a little before he heads out to find his brother again. Aoi urges him to eat as much as he wants because the guild will be paying for everything. Arata is surprised to see such a nice gesture coming from the ladies. He realizes that they have been helping him back to back, but he has not really done anything in return for them. He wonders if it is okay for him to accept the food, but he soon realizes that he can't even hold back from the food again. Arata immediately digs in, and he thanks the two for the help. Tears drop from his eyes as he enjoys a good meal in what can be considered forever. The girls also join him in eating, and they look happy while doing so. Arata is left to wonder if he ever would have gotten the chance to sit with the girls if he hadn't gotten the orb. After they have eaten a bit, Rei decides to ask Arata some questions. She lets him know that he is also free to ask her whatever he wants to. The first thing she asks him is if he became a slayer recently. Aoi on the side teases Arata, telling him that he is lucky to be having a one-on-one conversation with Rei because people from the guild rarely get to. Arata then decides to ride on this, and he tells Rei that he has one thing to ask her. He asks Rei how the guild locates magic fissures. He is asking because he wants to be at a fissure before Takatora can get there. Rei then reveals that they predict the fissures just like predicting earthquakes. She explains that they analyze factors like geomagnetism, gravity, and cycles of past field disturbances, which they combine to get an approximate location of where a magic fissure will open. However, the accuracy is usually around 60%. Aoi can see Rei smiling around Arata, which is something she considers very unusual. Suddenly, Rei gets a notification on her phone, telling her that a magic fissure will occur near the LK building within the hour. From the evaluation that they have seen, it seems like the fissure will be a silver-class fissure. Rei becomes worried when she sees this, and she tells the two that they no longer have the time to be sitting around and eating. She believes that high-ranking monsters will appear in the fissure. She turns to Aoi, who immediately offers to go. Without hesitation, Arata also says he would like to go. Because Aoi will be going with him, Rei lets Arata know that she will permit him to go to the fissure. However, she urges him not to let his guard down because this might come back to bite him in the back. Arata assures the lady that he is going to be careful. Deep down, Arata is convincing himself that he should be able to handle a silver rank fissure since he has been leveling up. Aoi and Arata then head out toward the predicted destination where the fissure will appear. Just as predicted, they get to see the rift open, and as expected, it came out as a silver rank fissure. Aoi can sense the excitement in Arata, and she asks him if he is okay. Arata assures the lady that he is fine and he can easily take on the fissure. Arata and Aoi then run into the fissure to try to clear it. This time around, they find themselves inside ruins. Arata is forced to ask what makes up the fissures. Aoi says it is said to be a place where beasts live, but no one can say for sure that it is all there is to it. Aoi says the fissures disappear when the boss is defeated. but she is pretty sure that there are places that don't disappear. Arata is shocked to hear Aoi's take on this. Arata is still talking about how there are no enemies nearby when he suddenly hears something approaching them. Before the two know what is going on, a level 25 sandworm appears from beneath them. It shows its large mouth covered with large teeth, and it suddenly dives back into the sand. Aoi tells Arata that they just need to listen closely for the sandworm. Aoi concentrates on her hearing, and she is able to figure out that the sandworm is aiming for them before it emerges from the sand. She then adds that there are several of them. Basically, they have been surrounded before they even know it. Aoi is confused and doesn't know what to do, but Arata tells her not to worry too much. Arata places his hand on the ground and releases the soot so he can sense the vibrations in the sand. Using this, Arata is confident that he will be able to sense where the sandworm is trying to approach them from. Just as he expected, he is able to pinpoint the sandworm's exit location. Just as the sandworm is emerging with its head, Arata already has his shadow blade on the ready. He slices off the sandworm's head, and he figures out that it will be easy for him to take on the sandworms as long as he knows where they are going to emerge from. Aoi is impressed by what Arata just did, and she compares it to whack-a-mole. Arata reveals that he was thinking about the things he could do the entire time that he was recovering in the infirmary. Arata explains that he already envisaged that he should be able to connect with the soot if he spreads it out thinly. Because he was unable to leave the hospital bed, this was all he was practicing. Arata is glad that everything went well, even though it's his first time. Arata has also figured out that he can use the soot in so many ways, which is not limited to combat. Aoi commends him for his ingenuity and says they will be able to handle the sandworms just fine. Arata then continues with the same strategy, and in no time he has taken out all of the sandworms, leaving only the Fisher boss. However, he tells Aoi not to let her guard down. They arrive at what appears to be a tomb, and Aoi urges Arata to stay on his toes because she can sense something off. She has not finished saying this when a stinger with a terrifying aura emerges from beneath the sand behind them. Arata initially thinks that it is another worm, but Aoi lets him know that he is wrong. She tells him that they are going to be begging for life if they get hit by the stinger. Just then, the stinger reemerges behind Arata, but this time around, he is ready for it. Before the stinger can reach him, he turns around and cuts it down with his shadow blade. Arata reveals that the beast is just wasting its time if it thinks it can hide under the sand, because he already sent his soot deep into the ground, just like he did before. Aoi commends Arata for his wise decision to have spread the soot in advance. Aoi admits that Arata has gotten stronger. Arata also admits that he has gotten stronger, and not only that, Aoi is also with him. He figures out that with his current stats, he should be able to fight against silver ranks or even higher. Suddenly, the boss of the fissure finally decides to reveal itself, and it turns out to be an annoyed level 29 death scorpion. Arata has managed to cut off its stinger earlier, but it is still dangerous, thanks to the massive claws on it. The scorpion swings one of its claws at them, but Aoi comes to the rescue by blocking it with her shield. However, Aoi struggles against the power of the scorpion, and Arata notices this. Arata figures out that he needs to help out before things become dire. He charges toward the scorpion, but the scorpion notices him and almost cuts him in half with his other claw. Thanks to his agility, he is able to dodge the hit. Suddenly, Arata finds himself levitating in the sky, and this is thanks to a water platform created for him by Aoi. She urges him to make use of the platform to try to gain an advantage over the giant and terrifying scorpion. Arata thanks the girl, and he makes proper use of it by leaping off it and cutting off the scorpion's head, spilling green blood everywhere. Aoi excitedly walks toward Arata, revealing her relief that they were able to defeat the scorpion. Arata is also glad, and he tells the lady that they can finally head home. Just then, Aoi points out that something seems to be off about the whole thing. She points out the fact that the clear notification is not popping up, which is something that has never happened before. Given the fact that they have defeated the boss, the fissure should already have started disappearing, but this is not the case. Arata finally catches on to what Aoi is trying to say, and he asks her if there is the possibility that a fissure doesn't close. Suddenly, Arata senses an ominous presence, and what follows is a voice from a scary figure sitting beside them. The dude has long ears, and a dark purple aura emanates from his body like a demon. The scary dude talks about how fun it was watching them beat the scorpion. Arata and Aoi are shocked to see a magic beast, even though they have taken down the fissure boss. What shocks them the most is the fact that the magic beast can freaking talk. The dude then reveals how he likes controlling beasts to take out slayers. This is when it dawns on Aoi that the magic beast talking to them was the one controlling the fissure boss, which is something totally unheard of. The magic beast then decides to show the two what he is capable of. Since the scorpion claws are still lying around, he uses his power to start controlling the scorpion, telling it to fight to the very end. This is when it dawns on Arata that the dude can control the monsters even when they are in pieces. The scorpion charges at the two, and they frantically unleash their long-range attacks to dismantle the scorpion. The dude is not impressed by the scorpion's display, and he suggests that the two become his puppets instead. Aoi can only wonder just what in the world they have found themselves going up against. With a snap of his finger, the scary dude opens a fissure, and he tells them that they are free to come inside. He promises to give them a grand welcome if they follow him. Arata cannot believe that they have just run into a fissure inside another fissure. Arata figures out that the dude is hijacking the fissure and gathering bosses. Aoi tells Arata that the fissure in front of them appears to be the main base. The fissure looks more dangerous than every other fissure that they have come across, but Aoi figures out that they need to go inside to defeat the dude if they want to clear the original fissure. It finally dawns on the two that the real battle is just about to begin. The two walk into the fissure even though they are nervous. The fissure looks like a castle, and Arata wonders if it connects to the human world. Meanwhile, they are being watched from above without even realizing it. Suddenly, the magic beast above them comes leaping toward Arata with a sword, ready to decapitate it. However, Arata turns around just in time and fires his cannon into the beast's chest, ultimately taking it out by creating a large hole in its chest. Just then, the two notice that they are surrounded by a horde of monsters that appear to be boss-class monsters, and they are all under the dude's control. Arata cannot believe just how shameless the dude is for turning other monsters into his puppets. Aoi tells Arata that they might be strong enough to beat all of the monsters. Arata whips out his sword and cuts down a bunch of them, but they don't stop coming at him. The moment they realize that they are getting tired, they figure out that they need to ignore the other boss-class monsters and focus on defeating the main dude. Aoi points to where they need to go, and the two dash in that direction while the other puppets run after them. They manage to reach the throne where the dude is sitting and waiting for them. Even though they have managed to get to him, he has terrifying knights standing beside him, and they both have giant swords with them. The dude tells them that they might have cleared out most of his puppets, but he still has plenty more in reserve. Aoi then points out the fact that they are going to kill him, since his end will also bring an end to his so-called puppets. The dude laughs at them, telling them that they can only boast, but they are nothing but trash to him. Arata then asks him why he is going through all the trouble of gathering magic beasts, and the dude mentions that it is fun for him. He considers making other beasts his puppets and being able to control them at will the best thing there is. He then says humans are the same to him, which is why he wants to turn Arata and Aoi into his puppets. Since he is strong, he believes that it is his right to prey on the weak. Arata then decides to ask him the big question. He wants to know if there is a way that they can turn a human who has transformed into a magic beast back to normal. Aoi is shocked by this question, but the big bad demon immediately figures out that there is a person Arata wants to turn back to normal. Arata angrily asks him again, and the dude lets Arata know that he might be willing to say if he manages to defeat him. Just then, the dude unleashes his power, which allows him to control blood. Blood sharpened like projectiles aimed for Arata, and he managed to block most with his power. However, he gets hit by the rest. While still dealing with the blood attack, one of the knights reaches him. Arata watches as the knight swings his sword, ready to take him out, but Aoi comes to his rescue as usual. She creates a shield to protect Arata and block the knight's attack. However, this alone takes a huge toll on Aoi's body. Arata runs over to check on her, but she assures him that she is fine, even though she clearly doesn't look fine. Aoi then urges Arata to finish off the big bad demon while she handles the knights. Arata promises to take out the demon, and he charges toward him with the determination that he can't allow Aoi to get hurt any more than she currently is. Aoi casts a healing spell on herself to help her move a little so she can handle the knights and regroup with Arata. Aoi knows that her only chance is to finish off the beasts all at once, and there is just one way to do it. She puts her everything into the only skill that she is convinced can help her. She charges up and unleashes a powerful energy blast that dismantles the knights. However, the knights just rearrange themselves yet again, but Aoi isn't surprised, since she already suspected something of such happening. Aoi is ready to take on the knights with whatever energy she still has left inside her. As Arata rushes toward the big bad demon, the demon notices that Arata is stopping his bleeding by mixing soot with his blood to coagulate it. The demon considers this a very nice trick, and he smiles as he asks Arata if he is from the same world as him. Arata is shocked to hear this, and he figures out that the dude is talking about his unique skill. Instead of talking too much, the demon suggests that they finish their fight. He wants to see which is stronger between his blood and Arata's soot. The demon unleashes his blood at Arata, but Arata disperses the blood with his burst soon cannon. The demon then tries another trick. He throws a blood whip at Arata, waiting to see how he is going to handle it. Arata is able to slash it with his shadow blade, and this level of intensity from Arata excites the demon. He continues throwing the blood whip at Arata, but he continues blocking it. He teases Arata, telling him to unleash everything that he has. Arata, on the other hand, figures out that the demon will only wear him down with the way the fight is going. The demon then mocks Arata again, telling him that he is just a boring fighter. The demon then takes it a step further by telling Arata that he might just go after Aoi once he is done with him. The demon then directs his blood attack toward Aoi, who already has her hands full against the knights. Arata turns around to scream out Aoi's name, but at that moment he feels a blood spear impaling him from behind. He is confused and stunned by this as he coughs up blood. He crashes to the ground, and the demon mocks him for looking away during battle. The demon then prepares himself to turn Arata into his puppet, just like he promised. He aims his blood spike at Arata, but Aoi somehow manages to reach him and protect him yet again. The demon is pissed that Aoi is ruining his fun, and Aoi admits that the demon is pretty good for him to have taken Arata down. Instead of arguing with the demon, Aoi starts healing Arata with her powers without letting him know. When the demon figures this out, he makes fun of Aoi, telling her that Arata died because he was protecting her, but lets her know that there is no need for her to heal him. The demon's words cut through her chest when she hears that she is the reason Arata died. This makes her remember how a monster terminated her sister Minato right in front of her. Aoi wants to lose herself in the process, but she manages to calm herself, with the realization that the demon is only trying to get to her. She figures out that she just needs to hang out until Arata recovers. Since Aoi is not ready to give up on Arata, the demon decides to play with them both. He throws his blood whip at Aoi, but she blocks the attack with her water shield. The demon laughs at her when he realizes that she uses water attributes. He continues attacking, but Aoi just blocks everything, telling the demon that her water attribute exists to stop the spilling of blood. Apparently, her water attribute has what it takes to blend with anything, which is why it is great for support. She's been training overtime just to master her support roles. Just then, the demon realizes that Aoi is diluting the intensity of his blood by mixing it with water. The demon doesn't really care about this, and he figures out that he just has to bleed more. Aoi knows that she will eventually be overwhelmed by the demon's power if it continues the way it is. Just then, Arata regains consciousness, and Aoi wastes no time passing him a water bubble. She tells him to mix the water bubble with soot to change the game. Arata does as told, but the demon mocks them, telling them that no matter what they do, they have no chance whatsoever. The demon unleashes his blood whip just as usual, but this time, Arata meets him halfway with soot powered by water particles. It consumes his blood, shocking him. Unknown to him, water is the most adaptable thing, and it easily amplifies power. Aoi then leaves the fight to Arata, and she urges him to take down the demon. Arata doesn't waste time as he runs toward the demon. Using his shadow blade, he slashes the demon right on the chest. Blood spills everywhere, and the demon feels the impact of what Arata did. He crashes to the floor while holding his chest in pain. He admits that Arata has overdone himself as the first human who has caused him pain. The demon cannot believe that he is the one who is always the one with the advantage, but everything is about to switch. The demon known as Valgad gets a flashback of when he was about to leave his domain. His subordinate told him then not to leave, but he insisted, and before leaving, Valgad was told that the one thing he had ignored would come back to bite him in the arse. Valgad is surprised that everything is happening just as his subordinate said it would. Arata then demands that he teach him how to turn humans back from magic beasts. Valgad laughs at Arata, claiming that he said he would only tell him if he won. Arata is enraged, and he screams at him while demanding that he tell him how to turn his brother back into a human. Valgad takes a deep breath, as if he wants to tell Arata something important, but he switches it up and starts laughing at him, saying it is impossible. Valgad claims that there is no way a human can come back to being normal once they have transformed into a magic beast. Arata's face goes pale with shock and disappointment. Valgad doesn't hesitate to use this to mock him. Arata watches in horror as Valgad dies and turns into dust in front of him. Arata then jumps from level 15 to level 21, but he remains stationary. Aoi stands behind him, asking him if he is fine. Just then, an item dropped, and Aoi picked it up while calling Arata's attention to it. Apparently, an item has never dropped before after a fight. Aoi tells Arata that he might get a special skill by using the item. She passes it on to Arata to use, and when he collects it, he realizes that it is a skill. Vassalization. Arata realizes that it is the same skill that Valgad was using, but he doesn't seem to be interested in it. The system informs him that the skill allows him to resurrect any deceased individual as a vassal and control them. However, resurrected vassals don't retain their abilities, which means they will only obey their master's will. Momentarily, Arata and Aoi return to the real world after the fissure disperses. Arata doesn't look like a winner, but more or less a loser. What Valgad said keeps ringing in his head, but he doesn't want to believe that there is no way out. Aoi senses what is going on in his head, and she urges him to calm down, assuring him that there must be a way out if they work together. Arata then reveals that he still has the desire to save his brother, even if he can't turn him back to his human form. When they return to the guild, Aoi reported everything that happened to Rei. She sympathizes with Arata, and she figures out that Arata's power shares the same origin as Valgod's. Aoi then suggests that they capture Arata's brother and put him under surveillance. Aoi lets Rei know that Arata will never hurt people, even if he shares the same power as magic beasts. Aoi assures Rei that she knows this well by fighting alongside Arata, and even if it ever comes to that, she lets Rei know that she will stop Arata by herself. Realizing Aoi's determination, Rei agrees to this, but tells Aoi to leave Arata and let him rest. She lets Aoi know that she will consult the association about her proposition. Meanwhile, Arata returns to his old house. The entire apartment is looking like a rat's apartment, as if no human has ever lived there before. Arata walks around the house with the realization that his brother might never come back home. Arata is thinking about his brother when a fissure suddenly opens right in front of him. Arata is shocked that a fissure is opening inside the house. The fact that the fissure opened in his room makes him wonder if his brother is inside the fissure. He slowly walks into the fissure, and the insides of the fissure shock Arata since it looks familiar. Without thinking too much, he decides to explore before anything else. After walking for some minutes, he wonders why nothing is happening. He soon reaches a spot where it seems like the floor was destroyed using brute force. He walks toward a door, but when he tries opening it, he realizes that he can't because a wood is blocking it. He whips out his blade and destroys the door with it. He enters the room, and to his surprise, he finds his brother in there. His brother has turned into a level 38 boss, and he doesn't seem like he knows who Arata is. Arata, on the other hand, starts weeping because he has finally found his brother. He tells his brother that he has been searching for him and never expected that he would be hiding in such a place. Arata acts casually in front of the beast, addressing him as his brother and urging him to come back home with him. However, his brother turns around and hits him with an energy blast that sends him crashing into the wall. Arata doesn't want to fight his brother, and he tries telling him that it is him. His brother tries to attack him again, but Arata leaps onto his shoulder to try and talk some sense into him, hoping that he would be able to reach him. Things go from bad to worse as Arata is smacked away like he is trash. Arata crashes to the ground while he wonders if his brother has truly turned into a magic beast. Suddenly he remembers the vassalization skill that he got after defeating Valgod. However, the condition to use the skill is that his brother has to be dead. While he is still contemplating what to do, his brother hits him again. Arata crashes to the ground and refuses to stand up because he feels guilty that he was unable to save his brother. His brother rushes toward him, and just as he is about to finish Arata off, he gets hit with a water attack that sends him flying to the ground. Arata gets back on his feet in shock, wondering what just happened to his big brother. Just then, he hears Takatora's voice behind him, calling him a pathetic loser. Takatora portrays himself as a hero and says he is there to save Arata. Arata immediately jumps between the dude and his brother, telling him not to interfere in the fight. Takatora is pissed that Arata is trying to protect a magic beast, but it suddenly dawns on him that Arata's brother is the magic beast. Arata questions Takatora and asks him why he is there. Takatora doesn't hide the fact that he has been monitoring Arata's movements. He lets him know that as long as he is affiliated with the Navy Guild, whatever he does is not hidden from him. Trying to protect his brother, Arata whips out his shadow blade. Takatora unleashes his ice blade, telling Arata that he now has an excuse to kill him with no one to complain, since he has chosen to protect a magic beast. Takatora confesses that he is going to end Arata's life under the pretense of justice. Arata angrily swings his sword at Takatora, but he easily blocks the attack. Takatora asks him if he has what it takes to protect the magic beast, but Arata argues with him, telling him that his brother is not a magic beast. Takatora then unleashes a long-range attack that tracks down Arata's brother. Concerned about his brother, Arata turns around to see if he is hurt, but Takatora makes fun of him for turning around in the heat of a battle. Enraged, Arata tries to strike Takatora down, but Takatora easily disperses all of his attacks while telling him not to get cocky. Takatora laughs at Arata, telling him that he is going to cut him up alongside his brother. Arata is pushed backwards, but he continues defending his brother, saying he is not a magic beast. Arata is ready to defend his brother day and night because of the memories that they have shared together. Arata reveals the determination he has when it comes to protecting his brother. He runs at Takatora again, and this time, his attack appears to be more powerful. Takatora feels the heat, forcing him to jump backward. Nonetheless, Takatora continues making fun of Arata for being a dirt-poor person. He lets Arata know that it is the end for him and his family, and Arata asks him what he means by this. Takatora then makes fun of Arata, telling him that there were 2 other magic beasts, and by this he is referring to Arata's parents. He reveals that he has already killed his parents, and he has no regrets about it because he even used them to gain experience points. This is enough to make Arata mad, and he unleashes a powerful aura from his body, but Takatora is not concerned as he tells Arata that he will not be showing him mercy. Takatora sends his deadly ice technique after Arata. A three-headed ice beast slithers toward him, and Arata prepares himself to engage the beast. He swings his sword so hard that he manages to take down two of the heads, but he misses one. Takatora admits that Arata has gotten stronger, but it is still not enough. The last head comes flying at Arata, and Arata realizes that he doesn't even have the agility to escape. Just as he is about to get hit, his brother jumps in to protect him. His brother smashes the last head, shocking Arata. His brother doesn't stop there as he runs toward Takatora and he hits him so hard that he is sent flying into the wall. Arata is stunned when he sees this, leaving him to wonder if his brother is able to figure out who the enemy is. Takatora is now faced with Arata's brother, and even Takatora is surprised by what is happening. He refuses to believe that a beast can protect a human. Instead of worrying too much about it, Takatora decides that he will kill Arata and his brother. Arata figures out that he might have a chance if he is able to restrict Takatora's movements. He remembers what he did with Aoi's water bubble, and he decides to do the same thing again. He places his hand on the ground and releases the soot. Takatora assumes that he is creating a smokescreen like before, and he tries to counter this with his water powers, but before he knows it, the soot merges with the water to create a sticky fluid. Takatora finds himself trapped in the fluid, and Arata is pleased that his little plan worked. Arata believes that he has seen the perfect opportunity to take Takatora down. He leaps toward him, but before he can even reach him, Takatora disperses the sticky fluid. Takatora prepares to cut Arata down, but suddenly, his brother appears behind him. Before he can react, Arata's brother smashes his hands together to catch Takatora, and this leaves a loud explosion. Arata is shocked and excited that his brother managed to defeat Takatora. Arata is about to relax when he suddenly sees his brother coughing up blood. Arata's face lights up in horror as he watches Takatora emerge from the shadows and cut down his brother like he is tissue. Arata screams in horror, but it is already too late as Takatora cuts his brother down to his soul. Arata falls to his knees as his brother turns to dust right in front of him. He still doesn't want to believe it until the notification comes in that the fissure has been cleared. Arata returns to his room in tears while Takatora stands above him, reminding him that he already told him not to be cocky. He continues making fun of Arata, telling him that learning a skill doesn't mean he can win. Arata then mutters a single statement, and this is him telling Takatora that he's going to kill him. With tears running down his face, Arata gets on his feet, and a dark, scary aura swirls around him. The entire room is filled with dark shadows, and Takatora can feel it. Nonetheless, he is not scared since this is not the first time Arata has acted cool, and he has put him back on his arse. Takatora lets Arata know that he is going to finish him off with just one strike. Before he can even move, Takatora finds himself engulfed by soot. Before he can react, Arata swings his sword so hard that it knocks Takatora out of the room. Takatora falls to the ground with pain crawling all over his body while he wonders how he is losing to Arata. Arata walks over to him, telling him that he will never be satisfied no matter how many times he kills him. Takatora cannot believe that he is actually getting the chills from a dude he considered to be weak. However, he gets back on his feet with the intention of finishing Arata off. He activates his ultimate attack, but this time around Arata consumes it with his shadow power. Before Takatora knows it, he is pinned to the ground by Arata's several blades and weapons. Arata doesn't look like himself as he walks toward Takatora, asking him if he is done fighting already. Fear starts creeping in, and Takatora figures out that he needs to escape. This only causes Arata to get angrier, and he unleashes a powerful aura that totally knocks Takatora out. He is about to finish him off when Aoi's shield appears over Takatora to protect him. Aoi appears on the scene, telling Arata that she is never going to allow him to touch Takatora. Aoi can sense the immense power coming from Arata's aura. Aoi's barrier doesn't seem to be enough as Arata's shadow blade breaks through it. Aoi gets hit in her arm, causing her intense pain. Aoi is left to wonder what sort of power Arata is wielding inside. Even though she has no chance against Arata, she still stands up to defend Takatora and stop Arata from killing him. Aoi realizes that he has no chance against Arata. Aoi is scared that things will go south if Arata increases his aura. While lying weakly, Takatora makes fun of Arata and Aoi, telling them that the association will take over once they realize that things are bad. Aoi, on the other hand, is thinking of how she wants to get Arata back to his normal self. Aoi fails to stop Arata as he unleashes more aura into the environment, which ends up destroying nearby buildings. Rei is watching this from her office, and she decides that it is time for her to step in and subdue Arata. At the Jade Sky Guild, Takuto has gotten info on Arata's out-of-control state. He decides that it is time he steps in and takes Arata off the street. Arata continues releasing a powerful aura into the surroundings. He targets Aoi, and just as he is about to finish her off, Rei shows up. She blocks Arata's strike with her power, and she apologizes to Aoi for being late. Rei gently places her on the ground, and she urges her to rest while she fights Arata. Rei figures out that something must have triggered Arata's power and rage, which is why he is totally out of control. Just then, Takuto shows up on the scene. He is hyped to take on Arata, but Rei tries to stop him. Takuto reveals that the association has a different viewpoint to the way they see things. When Rei hears this, she asks Takuto what the association is planning to do, but he refuses to answer the question. Takuto mentions that Rei and Aoi seem to be attached to Arata already. Rei argues that she is only doing what other guildmasters will. The two are still arguing when Arata tries to attack Takuto from behind. Rei screams at him to warn him, but Takuto doesn't look like someone who is scared. Arata swings his sword frantically to try to get Takuto, but suddenly Takuto's presence turns to petals. This shocks Rei, but before anyone can react again, Takuto hits Arata with his skill, the ethereal dance. This knocks Arata down, but Rei is shocked as she never expected Takuto's skill to easily take down Arata. Rei immediately reveals her stance, telling Takuto that she won't allow him to kill Arata if that is his plan. Takuto grins while assuring Rei that he has no intentions of killing Arata. Takuto reveals that he would not want to kill someone who is shrouded in mystery. Arata gets back on his feet and lets off a loud scream, and the moment he does this, he starts drawing in power. Takuto is not surprised by this, as he already suspected that Arata is gathering power from magic beasts. Arata turns his attention toward Takuto and tries to manifest a bunch of weapons to kill him, but he remains standing. Takuto is impressed, but at the same time, he figures out that Arata doesn't have full control over his power yet, and he is just letting it run wild. Takuto stares at Rei, telling her that he is ready to finally take down Arata. Rei is more interested in what the association wants, but Takuto doesn't have an answer to this. His entire body is engulfed in a green aura as he prepares to take out Arata. Before Arata knows it, Takuto's power restrains him. Before Rei can start getting worried, Takuto assures her that Arata is not dead but sleeping. With this, Takuto vanishes with Arata's body. After the two are gone, Rei fears the worst might happen to Arata at the association. Just then, Aoi returns to the scene after she had left to help civilians evacuate. She is shocked when there is no sign of Arata anywhere. Rei finds it hard to reveal that Arata has been taken away. When Arata wakes up, he finds himself tied up. He is still wondering where he is when a dude, who looks like a maniac, shows up. He has a whip with him, and he smiles as he tells Arata that he is about to get started with him. Well guys, that's the end of the video. If you like this video, comment next part in the comment section. Also subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and like the video. Thank you for watching and see you next time again.